How can I build 5 ultra-detailed and accurate LEGO aircraft and intricately recreate miraculous true stories while having a rapidly approaching deadline constantly looming over me? I'm going to reveal every detail that led to the production of this video and show exactly how I built the planes, made the liveries, got certain shots, ordered parts, and I'll show the locations I went to. Yes, unfortunately this was all filmed in this small section of the UK. And I did not actually go to places like, for example, the actual Solo River in Indonesia, like some people believed. This video took me from the end of May to the end of July to create. That's 8 weeks, and no, there were no school breaks. This was all done during a full-time high school term, which made things even more challenging. Oh yes, the iconic custom 737 nose. This build is something I have been dreaming of, yet dreading to actually try making for many months. I think it's really good and realistic, and the viewers have certainly noticed that. Many people are asking for a tutorial, and as much as I'd love to do that, I don't think I legally can, because it's not my design. I bought the instructions for a plane on this website here, and one of the first things I saw was a whole lot of stuff about copyright. Well, I built some of the nose that the instructions show, and I think it turned out great. If you're wondering where I get the parts, I ordered them from a website called Brick Owl. After designing the 737-300, I gave it the Garuda Indonesia livery. The crash was caused by a very powerful storm, so I put some plastic tape over the livery to protect the ink from the rain. I got some intense flight scenes in the rain and the plane got soaked. Despite the tape, some of the stickers still got smudged by the water, so I replaced them. I used paper to recreate some of the small details on the nose. There was this bridge that's similar to the one that Garuda 421 had to avoid, so I flew the plane past it and got some daring camera angles from the bridge. I built the plane extra strong for things like this, but of course this was still scary. Shots where the plane is fully suspended look epic, and I do it by attaching a loop of fishing line around the back of the plane and another loop around the front. I use this for recreations like FedEx 80 and Asiana 214, and for all the takeoffs and landings I do. We tried landing it as smoothly as possible while also getting a good splash. Miracle on the Hudson had a great splash, but the impact was awfully hard. We then pulled the plane along for a smooth stop. The shallow water deformed the engine, so that's what I did with my plane. And in the end, this aftermath looks quite realistic. These are some laminated paper stencils cut out to make runway markings using this industrial traffic road line marking spray paint we bought. Hopefully this won't go wrong and I will have a runway that will last at least a year, unlike my previous one made from tape. This is the runway that I based it off, and coincidentally it actually faces almost exactly 130 degrees too. Yeah, I ordered a ton of parts from Brick Owl and Bricklink. It cost a couple £100, and this is probably the most I've invested in a video until a high budget video I'm planning to release in September. The last so-called mega terminal honestly looks bad for today's standards. So enjoy the stop motion of the construction of my 160 stud long custom Giga Lego terminal. And the build is complete! It will make each boarding scene so much more immersive for all my future recreation videos. Maybe in the future I'll upgrade it with features like jet bridges and a tower. That would be cool. For this whole video I ordered a ton of window parts and coloured window frame parts so I wouldn't have to intricately cut paper around the windows on the more difficult liveries. The red window parts were absolutely key to making my 1983 Air Canada livery look so spectacular. The red stripe even extended around the front of the 767, so I spent a lot of time making it as precise as possible. Unfortunately this base part does not come in grey, so I printed out a colour most similar to the LEGO medium stone grey colour, and I stuck it around the white part. Hopefully it will turn out nice and seamless. For these overwing emergency exits I tried making door outlines out of paper for the first time. This method turned out great and I used it for all the planes later in the video. I also made these larger doors. I made two background planes which make the airport look far more lively, a Finnair MD-82 and an Eastern TriStar. Their liveries aren't accurate, but it doesn't matter because they only appear in the video for a few seconds in the distance. I got a second-hand bus set to add to boarding scenes. I tipped the box open and it was already built. Well, poorly built. I got some nice shots of it delivering passengers. I then took it to a lake and then to a field that resembles the plains of Canada. I made the ram air turbine and brought a bunch of resources to create the racing event at Gimli. The fishing line landing scenes took a lot of attempts as always, and the skidding scenes turned out quite nice and destructive. I deployed the emergency slides and there you go. Flights 143 recreated in LEGO. I stripped off the livery from the 767 and sketched out a more ambitious livery. The lot logo took hours of precise cutting to leave holes for the windows. The landing gear retraction scene, probably my favourite clip in this video. It took a lot of logical thinking on how to make the parts move like that, and here is the set that I built for it. These long Technic pins close the trapdoors, and these parts here are the parts that cover up the wheels when they're not extended, and they also push the gear up. This is the set I built for the hydraulic leak. It's just my interpretation of whatever the hydraulic system in a 767 might look like. I put many different pipes and I twisted string to make cables, because what these areas actually look like are just a crazy mess of complicated engineering. I printed out some text and stuck it here. The hydraulic fluid is just water mixed with a small bit of purple paint, and we put a syringe in one end of this pipe and slowly pushed the fluid through and recorded it in slow motion. I made this part of the plane showing the gear unable to extend from an inside perspective. The windsock obviously showed me that the wind is bad. This strong wind made the fishing line landing a nightmare to do perfectly, because the plane kept swerving and banking and pitching and swaying uncontrollably. We just kept going until a few golden attempts, where the movements looked natural and Lot 16 came to a stop. I ordered a bunch of emergency vehicles, and then drove them towards Lot 16. I made large custom wings and tried out this new technique of placing them at an angle using these rotating parts. The 4 engines are made of 20 of these circular parts in total. Using some parts from the Concorde set, I made this big 707 stabilizer with a rudder that I'm really happy with. But don't ask me what happened to the rest of my Concorde. This is how I make stickers. I cut some double-sided tape, and then I put it on the back of the text. Then I cut out the text, and take off the plastic covering the sticky tape. I got a bunch of flight scenes at the beach and then weakened the wing, attached fishing line and pulled it. I designed a torn up and burnt wingtip just like the real thing. Pan Am 843 is a crazy miracle. It could have easily ended up like how Gol 1907 lost part of its wing, but the over-engineered 707 somehow remained stable. The reason why I made my 707 at a bigger scale than my 767 and 737 was because of the engines. My only other option was these parts, which are way too small, so for these engines not to look oversized, I had to make the entire plane slightly larger. I wrapped a lot of paper around the nose to complete the full stripe, and around the tail, and the plane is finished. I also made these small cracks that some passengers reported to have seen in the metal before boarding. Now time to make the broken section. I got a bunch of flight scenes at the beach and then did a breakup scene by putting a string of fishing line in the roof segment and pulling it. I then got some slow motion splashes in the sea, and tried again. And don't worry, the waves were really small and the water was very shallow, so there was no chance of any parts getting swept away, and I picked up all the parts. After that, I got the small parts that I brought to decorate the severed roof with that broken metal effect. I put black paper over the doors so it looks a bit like they're open. And I stuck the open door on. And that was Aloha 243, recreation number 5 out of 5. A few weeks before the release, I changed my channel banner to start building up the hype. I made these planes just for a small teaser of upcoming episodes and put it in the trailer of season 2. People were of course very excited by this. Then came editing. This video took me 18 hours to edit, spread across 7 days. Also, this week of editing was a typical school week, because in the UK we unfortunately still have school in mid-July. Some of the most major parts of this editing included the lights for Garuda 200. Who needs these RC plane lights when you can just make this red circle clip art thing and edit it onto the plane? I also spent a while making this rain effect for the storm. It's just this stripy white image that I made, and if you keyframe a lot of them to quickly swipe past the screen, you have some nice violent rain. Lot 16 had this cool smoke and sparks effect, which took forever, and I'm really satisfied with how it turned out. For Pan Am 843, I used the classic fire green screen. It's not the best, and I hope someday I'll learn to make better CGI, but I guess it's good enough for a LEGO plane video. Of course, the editing process wasn't just effects and gimmicks like those. I also spent a while on this one detail where all the facts are in the same font as the airline logo. For example, I used the Pan Am font here and the Aloha Airlines font here. I hope that explains some of the editing well if that's what interests you. I'm sorry there has been no classic tutorial in this one like in the other two behind the scenes, but I think there is a lot that can be useful from the things I've shown you, such as the airport stop motion and some of the close-ups on the planes. If it would be worth it, I could make a separate video with tutorials like the 767, the 707 and the Garuda wings that I really like. If this video or this channel has sparked your interest or fascinated you at any point, then I highly recommend maybe even trying out creating some LEGO aviation videos of your own. You can copy my ideas as much as you like, I don't mind, I just love people expanding the community and being creative. And that is how much effort it takes, for me at least, to make a video with 180k views in 1 week. Do you think this has been worth it? Well, in my opinion, everything is worth it when you have people like this.